Some people should not buy a Spyder, and most don't realize it until after they've already spent the money. So before you make this mistake, let's talk about who this is not for. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Kevin, low budget Spyder rider, and I've been riding Spyders for a while now. And the truth is, this machine works great for certain people, but for others, it creates problems they didn't expect. So if you're considering one, here's where it goes wrong. Now, I've made this statement before. To new Spyder riders who've been riding two-wheel motorcycles for a long time, the first thing they realize is this doesn't feel like riding a two-wheel motorcycle. And they don't realize it until they're already riding it. If you spent years on two wheels, your body is part of the riding experience. You've leaned into corners, shifted your weight, and the bike responds almost instinctively. There's a rhythm to you riding it, a flow. You're not thinking, you're just doing it. But the Spyder doesn't give you that. You can't lean, you stay upright, and you steer. And this is where the disconnect for new riders begins. So instead of your body working with the machine, you're using your arms to control it. And that changes everything about how it feels to most new riders. You're not carving through corners, you're guiding something through it. And for a lot of those riders, that disconnect is the hard part to get past. And that's when they realize this may not be for me, because it stops feeling like riding and starts feeling like operating. Not worse, just very different. But if that connection is what you love, this can feel like something's missing every time you hit a curve. Now, this next part is what catches a lot of new riders off guard. The Spyder is more physically demanding than most people expect. A lot of people think this is going to be easier on the body, and in some ways it is, but not where most expect. On a traditional motorcycle, once you're moving, the bike stabilizes itself. You guide it. On the Spyder, you're steering the whole time. At low speeds, that front end feels heavy, so in parking lots, tight turns, you feel it in your arms right away. In cornering, you're not leaning, you're resisting. Your body is constantly bracing to stay centered while the machine stays flat. So instead of relaxing, you're holding yourself in position. And that effort adds up. It shifts the workload off of your legs and into your shoulders, arms, and your core. So if you're thinking this will be easier, be honest about what part of your body you're trying to protect. Because your knees and balance, the Spyder helps. But your shoulders, grip, and endurance, that's what might wear you out faster. With that being said, this is where some riders start to get frustrated. The computer is always in charge. And this is something you don't fully understand until you've ridden one for a while. You don't have complete control. The system is always involved. Everything you do, throttling, cornering, is being monitored and adjusted. Traction control, stability control, it decides how much power actually gets to the ground. So sometimes what you ask the machine to do isn't what it lets you do. Push your corner too hard, it pulls power. Get overly aggressive on the throttle, it smooths it out. And you can't really turn that off. You're always riding within the system's limits, not just your own. For some riders, that's reassuring. But if you're used to direct control, it can feel like there's a filter between you and the bike. And when something does go wrong, this is where reality sets in. You're not fixing it. This isn't something you just wrench on in your garage, not like a traditional motorcycle. Now, to be fair, you can handle the basics, your oil changes, your battery swaps, fluid changes, and simple bolt-on repairs. But beyond that, it can change fast. This machine runs on sensors, electronics, and software adjustments. And when something goes wrong, you're not diagnosing that in your driveway. You're relying on dealer tools and dealer support. If it throws a fault code or goes into limp mode, your ride may be over until it's fixed. So minor stuff, we can handle that. But bigger issues, you're depending on a dealer. If you like simple machines you fully understand, this can feel like a closed system. Now, if you're still watching, you're probably seriously considering one. So these next ones matter even more. The learning curve turns people off fast. This does not feel natural at first. Most people oversteer, they fight the bars, and feel like the machine's working against them. I remember my first ride, and I wasn't thinking this is fun. I was thinking, why does this feel so off? And here's the problem. Some people never get past this. They don't hate it, but they never get comfortable enough to enjoy it. Now, this is where things can get a little personal, and a lot of riders may not admit this. This can feel like a compromise, not an upgrade. For a lot of riders, this isn't just a new machine, it's replacing two wheels. And that's a bigger shift than people expect, because riding isn't just transportation, it can be our identity. Years of muscle memory, habits, and experiences. So stepping onto this isn't just learning something new, it's letting go of something familiar. And if you're not ready for that, it feels like a trade-off, not an upgrade. You gain stability, control, comfort, and confidence has stopped. But you also feel what's missing. That lean, that connection, and that instinct in riding two wheels. And that creates constant comparison. You're not just riding it, you're measuring it. And when that happens, it's hard to fully enjoy it. And the biggest mistake that people make is buying this for the wrong reasons. People buy this based on what makes sense, not how they actually ride. Stability, safety, comfort, it checks every box on paper. And those things are real. But most people don't ride based on logic. They ride based on how it feels to them. And those don't always match. You can have something more practical, easier to manage, and still not want to ride it. That's what people don't think about. They assume they'll ride more, but if the feeling isn't there, they ride less. Not because it's bad, but because it's not giving them what they actually want. And that's where you see them sit. Not broken, just not chosen. Because people don't ride what makes sense, they ride what they want to get on. Now, this is where it really hits hard. This can be an expensive mistake if it doesn't fit you. This isn't a cheap experiment. You're not just trying it, you're committing real money. And if it doesn't fit you, getting out isn't simple. Depreciation hits, especially early. So when you sell or trade it, you're not getting that money back. And accessories, upgrades, that money doesn't come back either. So now you've got money tied up in something you're not riding, or you're taking a loss just to move on to something different. And that's what people don't think about when they're excited to buy. They assume, I'll just sell it. But it usually costs more than they expect to learn that lesson. The Spyder isn't a bad machine, but it can be the wrong one for the wrong rider. If you don't figure that out up front, you'll figure it out after you've already spent the money. But be honest about what you actually enjoy in riding, not just what sounds good on paper. Because the worst part isn't that it's a bad machine, it's regretting too late that it was never the right one for you. If you enjoy this type of Spyder ownership content, subscribe to the channel. In my next video, I'll talk about why some people quit riding a Spyder. Until then, remember to live for the experiences and definitely enjoy the ride. Peace.